Oh, but don't you have to say something? I already forgot how we did this. I don't just randomly say bye. You say, and this has been something.
It doesn't matter. We'll just. And welcome back to another episode of the Riley Black Project with Crystal and John.
Hey.
What's going on? What are we talking about today?
Well, so I guess what's new to us is, one, we have new microphones.
Yes, these mics do. So if we sound different, it's the new microphones, and they're pretty sweet because they're hands-free.
Yeah, and hopefully it's different in a good way. Hopefully it's improved a little bit, although we've been just gradually improving.
Right, yeah. You got a nice little pop filter in front of yours.
Yes.
It looks like you're doing voiceover work. You'll have to post a picture.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, so we have new microphones, and then new to our home is we have new blinds.
Oh, we're going to talk about the blinds. You're really excited about these blinds.
I am really excited about these blinds.
They're pretty sweet. They're nice.
So we moved in this house 2.5 years ago, and ever since we moved in, we've had those paper accordion temporary blinds, because we have something like 13 windows, or I don't know. It's a lot, especially if you spend like $100 or more on each window.
It's more like 7 windows that we actually covered. We have 13 total because of the shut. You're thinking of the shutters?
Oh, okay.
When we did the shutters, but we really only have 7 windows that need coverings.
Okay, so anyway,
they're pretty big windows.
Yeah, and we've been putting them off. Yeah, because each window is like
a double.
A double, yeah. And so we've been putting it off. I mean, for 2.5 years, and we just had the temporary ones. Well, yeah,
we've been prioritizing other expenses.
True, there's been a lot of other forced repairs that unfortunately made it so that we couldn't really put that money towards blinds at the time. But we just splurged, and I mean, the paper blinds they've had long past their prime and were falling down.
We had the same paper blinds. It's not like we kept renewing the paper blinds.
No, we didn't buy more.
We had the same ones for 2 years, 2+ years.
Yeah,
the black ones were turning brown because of the sun, and like we were missing 2 windows, like 2 half windows because stickiness.
The one in my office didn't even have any.
Right, didn't have anything. The pool guy could just look straight in every day, every time he cleaned the pool.
Yeah.
But these are nice.
They're very nice. So we have the little translucent, I think is what they're called, which if you work with acrylic at all, translucent means translucent, but it means that light can pass through. And so if you get translucent acrylic, you know that it's not opaque, and that, you can't expect it to be, solid and not allow any light to pass through if that's what you don't want. So we have translucent ones that allows the light in, but still gives us privacy in our main living areas, like my office and dining room and kitchen. And then we have blackout in the bedrooms,
which are pretty sweet.
What's really sweet is that one with the motor.
Oh, the one over the sliding glass door.
Yeah.
Yeah, the motorized one. Yeah,
you literally push the button down, and it goes down, and then it slows down and stops where it needs to. Right,
and like a true afterthought, you're like, man, we should have gotten this on all of them.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad that that's the only one that has it, because we'd be walking around all the windows every morning like, putting them up.
But yeah, and they're not like off the rack. Like they're not. We didn't go to Home Depot and buy it. Like we had. No,
we went like adult on it. Like,
they came in, they measured all our windows, and they told us it would be like 2 weeks. And
so your friend, but also my friend now, they just bought a house, and I can claim things. Yeah. So they just bought a house, and we were, by we, I mean John was helping them move, and I just came to look at the house, and they had these really nice blinds, and I was like, wow, where did you get those? And they told us the guy's name, and so then we called him and then we got our
stimulus check, and we called him.
Pretty much. And then he came, and it was about what we wanted to pay, and we said, let's go for it.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very happy with them.
Yeah, me too. I'm surprised at how happy I am with them. I thought, oh, they're just going to be window coverings.
No,
but they
I
do
knew.
definitely change
It's life-changing.
the look and the feel.
It does. I keep looking at them. I keep having to focus on the
Grown-ups.
mic and not stare at
Yeah, grown up. We're grown ups now. We're adults.
Yeah, speaking of grown-ups, so this week I have been on the grown-up struggle bus.
I mean, are you getting your CDL for the struggle bus? Because this entire pregnancy.
There's been some weeks that have been
If you're going to be on it so much, you might as well get paid.
more
for
struggly than the other. But this week was, so I think the problem is that the last like couple months I've been gradually like being less and less on said bus, and I was getting used to being super productive and getting a whole bunch done, and finally feeling like half human. And then this last week, that just kind of all came crashing down. And I've just been, almost every day I go into my office and I attempt to work on things. And I get distracted very easily. Or I'll work on something that I really shouldn't be working on because I have other things that are higher priority. And then I eventually I keep trying to refocus, and then after several fails at refocusing, then I just give up. And so, I'm just trying to get out of this. I don't know if I know it's definitely some pregnancy related, because I've been struggling with this amazing thing called pregnancy carpal tunnel, and it's my right wrist, which is what I use to make things and design and use the mouse and the keyboard and all that. And so that's been, at times extremely painful. And so that definitely doesn't help with the motivation to get stuff done. And then also swollen ankles. If they aren't raised, then if they aren't raised for too long, then they swell. And so I'm having to look into wrist braces and compression socks. And
sounds like fun.
No, it's really not. So I've just been I'm trucking along, but not at a very fast and effective speed at all. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll get some good weeks coming up, because I want to do things, but for some reason I'm just not able to.
Well, that's some reason. We'll be out in July.
And then I really won't be able to get anything done.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully this week. I'm just gonna keep trying. Maybe I'm hoping if I keep trying to go in my office, that I'm just gonna have that one day where I get lucky and I actually moment. Where I just, today is one of those good days, and I actually mark a couple things off my list. And I think that kind of is what happened too. Was there was a couple really big projects that I was working on that I finished, and then my body's like, oh, okay, now we can
relax.
Yeah, now we can chill. And I was like, well, not really, because you still have other things to do. Like, I'm not taking very many projects, but I still have a few that I ended up taking, and I really need to get them done, but I'm struggling. That reminds me, there was a cake topper I was supposed to make today.
Uh-oh.
So I'll be making that tomorrow.
Hopefully.
No, I have to. The girl's birthday is on the April 9th. And we're recording, and it's the 5th. So, I need to do it tomorrow, so I'm not making the poor mom pick it up the day of her birthday or something.
Right. Super last minute.
Yeah. So, but I did give her a heads up, and I was like, hey, I'm struggling, but I got you, this week. And she said, okay. So this week we are no guests or anything, just us.
Sorry, guys. Just me. You just got me to deal with.
Yep, just this guy. We're talking about Christmas PTSD. I struggled to say that. Christmas PTSD.
Yeah, this was your second round of Christmas PTSD.
Yes, this was my second Christmas season. Yeah, because the first season it wasn't really crazy because I had just gotten my machine in November.
Right.
So there wasn't really, I didn't know what I was doing. So there wasn't enough time for people to order and have a bunch of crazy orders lined up or anything. But yeah, so the first year was awful. Like awful. And I wonder if there's anyone who's first starting out whose first Christmas doesn't suck a lot.
Well, right, because you're trying to get a workflow set up. It's your first Christmas, so you want to expect a lot of orders, but you don't want to over expect.
Right. Well, and you need the money as whether it's a side business or you are all into this. Christmas season is like the crafters' Super Bowl. Right. Really. And so, you want to take full advantage. Everyone who reaches out to you, you're like, oh yeah, I got you. I'll do that. It's yes to everything. And that's the first mistake. So, the first Christmas, I remember, I can't tell you how many nights I was up until 3 or 4 a.m.
Yeah, it was a lot of them. I was going to bed alone a lot.
Yeah, it was a regular occurrence. And then it was dangerous too when you would head off to bed without me, because then the reason for me to stop working is now gone. Right. And so I would look and I'd be like, oh my God, it's 4 something or it's almost 5. And like, I refused to see the sun come up at least. Right. And so I would have to finally.
Yeah, you become an insomniac.
Yeah. And then, so I'd finally go to bed. And then the question always in the morning was, what time did you come to bed?
Yeah, because I knock out. I would never feel you coming into bed. I would never you wouldn't wake me up. Yeah. So yeah, I was like, what time did you ever end up coming to bed? Because
and it was
clearly you came to bed.
It was more nights, if it wasn't every night, it was 5 out of 7 that I was going to bed at 3 or 4. And it was usually you
tapping out.
Okay, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, try to wait you out.
Are you able to come with me, or am I going to just see you in the morning? So, that was rough. And then getting them out in time and then hoping they arrive safely. And then again, I was taking I'm pretty sure all of them were custom orders. I don't think any of them were repeat generic things that I could just
because at the time you were really pushing those unique creations. Come to me with anything you want, I can make it happen for you.
It. Yeah, I'm making soccer signs and paint signs and just all the things.
Yeah, and it's funny that this year you plan to just cruise through the holiday season, and then we had mentioned that in the TikTok episode you went viral. Yeah, I was gonna get to that. It just kind of smacked you in the face oh wait, you thought you were gonna take a break this season?
Yeah, so
no.
I'll come back to that. So your first year is always horrible, and then as soon as it's over and you send your last order, you're like, I am never doing that again. Next year, I'm going to have a plan. I'm going to prepare ahead of time. I'm going to have a cutoff date. I'm going to stick to that cutoff date. I'm going to offer less things, do all these things. And the second year, again, I've talked to a couple of my fellow, crafters and laser homies, and your second year, you improve some, but you still fail.
You still overpromise.
You still you screw up on one of those things. And I mean, I guess perfection is like not attainable, but like you either don't stick to your cutoff date, you maybe offer a few more custom things than you said you were going to. I I had this huge plan going into last year. I was going to offer these coasters, I was going to offer these cutting boards, I was going to offer, I had these like set list of things that I was going to offer, and then I only had like I don't know how many spots I had set aside for custom orders. And I did post really early. I started posting in October. Mm-hmm. I felt weird doing it because it's not even, I don't even think it was Halloween, or Halloween had just passed. And I'm like, hey, here I am, Christmas.
Right. You're like,
but just letting you know, like, if you want something, tell me sooner than later.
Right. Like the stores have all the Halloween costumes, but over towards the back, they start having their Santas and their trees.
And that was me. That was me, yeah. Santa in the background. Like, right. Hey, if you want a custom order, I'm only going to have so many spots. And so I totally failed at only taking so many spots, but I did pretty decent on that. And then this one, I don't know that, I mean, we didn't necessarily fail because the TikTok thing was incredibly unplanned, and I kind of had to take the moment and the opportunity that it was. But that TikTok moment had happened after what I had already called my cutoff date.
Right.
I wasn't taking any more orders. I was still completing some of my orders before Christmas, but if someone wanted something new, it was no.
Right.
And then
sorry, you didn't reach the cutoff date.
And then TikTok happened, and it was like crap.
And well, it goes back to that wanting to seize the moment, and it goes back to that first year.
Right. And so I did consider several times not doing it and just being like, no, I need to stick to this, whatever. And then I was like, okay, let me find the happy medium and let me just fulfill some of them. Let me raise my prices. Let me only offer so many, and, whatever. And so I did end up actually meeting my cutoff date. I think I might have gone a couple days past it as far as like shipping and getting everything out, but I was pretty close. And then what happens once you send your last order, and I mean, it can happen before that sometimes, but it's the burnout of you've been staying up so much, you've been, and again, this another unplanned thing that happened during this Christmas season was, I guess it was planned, but it was a shock that it happened so quickly, was the pregnancy.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we're kind of trying, but not really.
Right,
and so
we weren't following any
no
cycles or anything. We just pull the goalies.
Right. And then bam. Yeah. And so it was like, oh crap. So first trimester exhaustion and nausea and all that was not something I had necessarily planned into this Christmas season. Because I just, we tried so hard with our first that I was like, right. It's not going to happen so fast. And it did. So then it was that added level of difficulty. And then comes you finish your last order and you're so ready to be done. And one thing that I made sure this year was, okay, so the first year, I don't think I made anything for my own family.
No, I don't think so.
Not much. I was working up until, because I did even some local orders. Like, I don't even remember when I finally stopped taking orders the first year. Because there was people who were like, can you make this and I'll pay for overnight. Like, it was bad the first year. But then what happens is by the time you're done, now you can't even really enjoy the holidays with your own family.
Right, because you're so tired.
You're so tired and burned out, and you're so over it. Because then it was like, okay, you finish your last order, and then, wait, now I have to work on my own orders, or now I have to go shopping, yeah, that one was rough. I don't even remember what I ended up giving my family that year because it was tough. Oh man, and then we went to Colorado.
Oh yeah, we took
And
like
so
a
I had
whole bunch of stuff.
Colorado, I had my Colorado orders too. And so we had our suitcases.
Right, because
And then we had
you told
one,
people
yes,
to like, hey, listen, these are the dates we're going to be in town.
if you want to save some money on shipping. Yeah.
Put in your order so that I can bring it down with me.
I had one full suitcase of orders that I brought to Colorado that I had to disperse once we got there. So, yeah, it was a lot. And then this last year, we actually had a trip planned in Christmas, around in December for Christmas, and ended up canceling it due to COVID and the pregnancy and all that. We just didn't feel, with the numbers going back up and having the high risk pregnancy, that it was
wasn't the
a
smartest
good combination of the two. Because I didn't want to go through all that traveling and then just hide in the house because I was scared to see people and get sick or whatever. So yeah, and the other thing that you're worried about is the burnout of, is the burnout going to happen once I'm actually done? Is it going to hit me 2 weeks before I'm even done, and now I'm struggling to finish my obligations? Did I set a cutoff, and did I actually follow the cutoff? And now did I give myself enough time to take care of my own family and enjoy the holidays with my family? And that was a little bit easier to do this last year, just because, I mean, again, COVID, we weren't going anywhere. We didn't go home.
Right.
We went to your mom's, but only briefly.
Only for a little bit, yeah.
And even that was it was different. And so I didn't have to worry so much about the planning and all that. And we managed to set up the tree. We didn't put any ornaments on it.
We put the one he made in class.
We did put the one he made in class on it. And we put the one that I made when I told you.
Oh, right. For the pregnancy.
Yeah.
But it served as a good backdrop for pictures for
your ornaments. It served as a really, really good backdrop for the ornaments that went viral.
For Riley Black Designs.
I mean, we probably did, but we also did it for JR because he's 3.
He's starting to make memories,
and he's starting to understand what's going on, and make memories. And he would see the other trees, and he loved the Christmas lights. He would wake up and go try and plug it in himself before we had even gotten up, almost every day. So he loved the tree. So we had to at least put up the tree for him. I had promised myself that we would at least do that. Even no matter how crazy it got, we would at least do that. Because, I mean, that first year there was no tree. We didn't put up a tree at all.
Yeah, no, we were just, we were dodging. We didn't decorate for Halloween.
Nothing.
All the holidays came and passed, and we were just trying to keep our head above water.
Trucking along.
Yeah.
I think every year, as a business, you kind of figure it out. You figure out what worked, what didn't work, what worked okay, and can I still improve on. I've even thought about Christmas this year and what I want to do for this year. And I can't even think that far right now. I mean, there's people who in January are already starting to prep for Christmas, depending on how their business works. And if there's businesses that, again, they do most of their business around then. And so they start making ornaments and stuff now. And
just to have in reserve,
just to have inventory and stock. And I don't really, because my goal is to have more physical, more digital, less physical this year. So I don't really know what I even want to offer for Christmas. I don't know what I want my cutoff to be. We are going to attempt to visit family again this December.
Right.
Because, I mean, some of them thankfully, my mom has a house here in Florida. And so she comes out here. She's about 2.5 hours away. So when she comes out, we try to, go see her, vice versa.
Right.
And
Your
we've,
sister's planning to come out
yeah.
for the baby.
And she was able to come out last October.
Right. So it's basically like friends and your dad.
And my dad especially. I haven't seen him since March of last year. We traveled right when when it was happening, before they shut everything down, but buzzings were made of it.
Right.
And the worst part was that I had a cold
right
before we traveled. I mean, I'm always sick. But I got a cold right before we traveled, and I had to like be careful about like if I coughed or if I sneezed, was someone going to look at me weird? Are they going to kick me off the flight? Or
I remember not seeing my grandmother.
Yeah, we hadn't seen your grandmother in like
because we were sick before going
a month.
Then we went, and like the first few alarms were sounding about COVID. So we decided to take another 2 weeks.
Right.
Just to be, just to play it safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. We did.
Well, and JR, he kept getting sick from daycare.
Right.
Like he would come home with like a cold, and he would be sick for like a couple days.
Right.
And then he'd be fine.
He'd have a
but then he'd
cough.
give it to me.
Yep.
And then I would be sick for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And this was at the time when I was just figuring out that me having chronic allergies was actually making it worse when I got sick.
Right.
Because my lungs were already like pissed off. And so then now I get sick, and now every time I get sick it turns into bronchitis, and it's just hard for me to get better. So yeah, that was the last time we saw family. So again, this December we hope to go visit them again. Well, since we didn't get to go last December.
Right. Hopefully vaccinated by that point. So it'll be.
So then all of that will play into cutoff dates as well, because, I don't want, depending on when we travel, I would obviously like to make the cutoff date before we're traveling so that, I'm not sitting there worried about the work that I have to do when I come home.
Right.
Yeah, so I need to figure that out probably soonish, just to, I think I'm just going to do a modified plan of like what I did last year.
Or what you planned to do last year.
Yeah, what I planned to do last year, but do it like a little bit more strict, less of the custom orders. Yeah, and it's hard. I still struggle with saying no. And I mean, that's how I have the orders I have now. Is because people will ask, and then, my brain finds a way to tell me, oh, that one's not that hard. Like the cake topper that I have to do. It's not really that hard, but it's definitely, as far as cake toppers go, it's simple, but it's not, because it's layered. And so it's 3 different types of acrylic. It's clear, black pearl, and white. And so 2 of those layers I have to add 3M to. And then, so it's not just, like, one of them is literally like the word 18.
It's
and
not
I
just cut and send.
Yeah, the other one, like one of them is super simple, but that one's not due until June. But it's literally the word 18, and I can load my acrylic, hit go, and it's done.
Right.
But this other one isn't, and so I managed to convince myself that it's not that bad, which it really isn't, but it is when you struggle to get work done every day. So yeah, it's hard, because like especially when it's a friend or a family member and it's Christmas and they want you to make something super special for their husband, their wife, sister, mom, whatever. It's hard to tell them no.
Right. Yeah.
So, and it's like, because I do love to give people my enjoyment, my happiness comes from them getting this amazing gift, like, oh wow, you made that, or
Right,
oh,
right, yeah.
you got that made, or how did you do that?
Well, which is why you
And
got into it in the first place.
yeah, the whole reason I really wanted to do it. And so when people come to me for that kind of stuff, it's really hard to be like, nope, can't do it,
Right.
sorry. So I guess working on saying no more this Christmas, or, again, making like the super early announcement, like, hey, I know it's August, but if you want something, you better tell me, sooner rather than
Right.
later.
Get
And
in where you
then,
can fit in.
yeah, and then just, using that huge rack of supplies that I can see from here of miscellaneous cutting boards and cups and coasters. And those are the easy things because again, I don't have to assemble anything. So I really need to focus on the ones that are still amazing gifts, but are less intensive as far as work and
Right.
assembly goes. You know, maybe work on when I do get those requests of, oh, I want to make this for my friend or family. Like, oh, it's cool. I really love to make that for you, but probably at a later date. But I can offer you a set of coasters with whatever you want on them,
Right.
or cutting board, or that kind of stuff. So maybe just refocusing the requests.
So you kind of touched on it. I was gonna ask, what advice would you give yourself now, that first year?
Man, I don't know. It's hard because, again, I don't even listen to my own advice now. I mean, find your limit. Because I definitely, I'm sure there were a few points that first Christmas where, like, I was overworked to the point of, like, tears. And I wasn't taking care of me. JR, he was barely in daycare.
Right.
So
If he wasn't,
I
it
was
only a
also
few
taking
hours.
care of him. And I think if he was going, it was like 2 days a week at that point. So, I'm attempting to take care of him. And then any moment that you were home, I was working. And then, there were times where I'd forget to eat. And if I was eating, it wasn't like good things. So I guess my advice would be, one, to take care of yourself. Maybe set hours of like, I'm going to work from here to here, during the day. Having I really did like how last year, even though it was tough to stick to, how I had like my set easier items, again, with the coasters and, that kind of stuff where you literally just load and engrave. You don't have to glue and assemble and, do those crazy kind of things like LED signs. Off limits this Christmas. I think I literally just made that decision in my head. It's not happening. They're
No LED lights
no. You can have one, but you can't have one
for Christmas.
for Christmas. So just making sure to just make it doable. Like, you can make money, but be smart about it in offering things that are quick turnarounds. Ornaments, I'm going to push a little bit of the ornaments more, I think, to my friends of that are and the easy ones, not the ones that are
Not the F
five. No, I'm never making those again. Yeah, if I make one of those this year, it's going to be a completely different design. It's maybe this year my ornament will just be the word fuck instead of sorry if you have any kids around, instead of that word over and over and over again with a whole bunch of tiny little pieces that you have to get out. Like, no, I'm gonna make sure to do the simpler ones that are still awesome, but that aren't, don't have a lot of things and steps to it. So
Right,
it's
you can
kind of
just
all over the place,
get
but
out.
just being more focused in your offerings.
So it sounds like
Yeah.
what you're saying is set up guidelines, and stick to them.
Yes.
As
Like
much-
if the last day for people to order is, we'll say, I mean, unfortunately, if UPS or USPS is anything like it was last year, this year, I mean, you have to cut off orders really early because, I mean, I remember my original goal last year was to have everything mailed out by December 1st, by like November 30th.
Right.
Because I had to allow 2 or 3 weeks for packages to get where they were going. And any order I took beyond that was me telling them, okay, it's highly likely you won't get it by Christmas. So the only way I'm taking this order is if you know that that's a possibility and you're okay with it.
Right.
So it's setting a reasonable cutoff date to accept orders, and then also setting a reasonable cutoff date for you to be done and complete with your orders.
Right.
Because my laser kind of screwed up my plans for that last year. Was my original plan was to be done with any order that needed to be shipped would be shipped by November 30th. And then those 2 weeks from December 1st to December 15th, that was going to be my, if I was going to have my new laser by then, and I'm going to be learning it.
Right.
And if possible, then accept local orders, the last minute local order people. Like, oh, hey, I'm selling, again, coasters, cutting boards, the simple things. And, these are the 4 designs that are available or whatever. Like, not even leaving it up to, because the problem is if you just say, oh, I can do coasters and cutting boards. Oh, can you do this?
Can you put my dog's face on it?
Exactly. Can you put this recipe that I have from 1920 that you have to hand trace and Procreate
in my grandmother's handwriting?
Exactly. Onto which those are very popular, and I bet, that's a legitimate request.
Yeah.
And so you have to.
That's a nice gift idea.
Yeah. And so if you're doing, I wanted to do the the last minute local items because again, people will pay for them because they're getting this custom item.
Right. It's one
last minute, and so that I can charge a little bit more. And I was hoping to to work on my local people a little bit more, and then the laser was super delayed. It was like a month and a half delayed for me. And so that idea kind of went out the window. And so I ended up having to keep my laser longer, the Glowforge longer than planned. And then kind of had to
so cutting off
shift
earlier
modes.
Cutting off earlier also buys you time in case there are any hiccups.
Exactly.
With whatever.
Things take longer than you think.
Right.
Which is
Material
me.
delivery.
I'm very. I'm not the greatest at how long something is going to take me, because in my head, I simplify it too much.
Right.
I'm like, oh, I just need to cut that out. This will take me. I remember there was one thing where, I just had to. Oh, I was cutting shelf tags for Amanda, and her new shop.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that shouldn't take me that long, because it was literally a bunch of rectangles and squares. It was a rectangle, and on the rectangle, it had the name, the item code, the information she needed on the tag, and then a little square, and that was the piece of that acrylic in that color. Well, I'm thinking it's going to take me, a couple hours, right?
Right.
What I didn't plan for was how she had 20, 30, 35 colors at the time. What I didn't plan for was taking out that one sheet, putting in the next one, hitting start, waiting for it to cool down, taking that one out, taking off the masking.
Each color.
Yes, taking off the masking, adding the 3M. Like I didn't plan for all the in between.
Right.
I was like, oh, the cut time is literally 10 seconds, or the engrave time was like an hour, and then assembling it all. Like, I think, oh, it's going to take me 30 minutes to an hour to assemble it. And then, because I remember telling Amanda, like, I almost lost sleep over it. Like, I felt super guilty telling her these took me 8 hours.
Right.
And she's like, if that's how long it took you, that's how long it took you. I'll pay you, you know. And I remember, like, telling her, like, less time than what it really took me because I felt so guilty in, like, just, you know, underestimating. And I hadn't really given her a price. You know, she just said, make these for me and I'll pay you, you know,
Right.
whatever, an hour. But so I'm getting better, but I still really, my brain just lies to me all the time.
Well, you
And
like you said, you simplify because I do
Yeah.
the same thing for house projects.
yeah, we do it for house projects too. Oh, I'm going to go
Yeah,
cut
it's gonna
this,
take
I'm
me
going
like
to
an
cut this,
hour
and
or
it's going to take me an
two.
hour. And then 3 hours later,
Right.
and you have to stop because now JR is about to wake up from his nap,
Right.
and you hit a snag or hit a water line like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, trim up the edges. And,
Right, I'm just going to
and
go.
then, and then I
get
gotta
these
shut off
weeds
the water
here.
to the house. And then come back in and be like, okay, listen.
Oh my god, you came in and I was like,
listen.
"What's?" I knew something was going on because you're usually really good at hiding it until you need to tell me.
Right.
But I'm also really good at picking up on the tiniest thing.
This wasn't that tiny because you
No,
went to
but,
the
like-
bathroom. And,
No, I hadn't noticed that the water was off.
oh, okay.
I had literally just gone to the bathroom and I think you turned it off like seconds
Right.
or minutes later.
Okay.
But like I'll notice the strangest things and they'll stick out to me and my brain will be like, wonder what that is.
Well, I had to come in the house.
Well, you came
and
in the
grab-
house but I heard you kind of what felt like abruptly turn it off. When it happened.
Well, you probably heard the water running.
No, I
and
didn't
then-
hear. I
oh,
didn't
you
hear the water
hear it?
running
Okay.
either. Like again, like you had just started on the front, and I felt like you still had. Again, I'm working away, and so this is all
Right.
just background noise. But I hear the weed whacker going, and I'm like, that's what it's called, right?
It depends on where you're from. Weed
Trimmer.
eater, yeah, trimmer, weed
Whatever.
eater,
Okay.
weed whacker.
So I hear
string
it.
Trimmer.
I hear it going, and then it felt like it stopped a couple minutes later, and I was like, he can't possibly be done, trimming everything
Right.
in the front. And then I was like, okay. And then you're out there for a while, and then you came inside, and then you went back outside. And I was like, okay. And then you came inside again, and you walk in my room, and we both always do this when something's happened, and we go, so. And I'm like, okay,
Right.
what
Like,
happened?
so, this is plan A's in motion. This is my plan B
Oh my god.
and plan C. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had plans. So, just really quick, what happened was so that people know what happens. I was doing trimming around after mowing the front. I was trimming, and then the main spigot to the house split off to what I believe is the
We still
sprinkler
don't
system.
know. He never got back to us, did
No,
he?
he never got back to us.
That
To the
bastard.
sprinkler system that is non-existent, that we don't use.
Right.
But all that PVC pipe is still set up there.
Yeah.
So when I went with my weed, and it must be
Old and yeah.
old and then beat up, like real brittle from the
Right.
sun. So all it took was that string to pop it a few times, and then it was like a geyser out front, and I was like, "Oh my god, how do I turn the water off?"
Right.
And I went to in front of the hydrant, there's like the city, like the water thing. So I was like, oh, let me pop that open. I popped it open, hoping that there was like a valve that I can turn, and that's not a valve. Like you need the key.
Oh, right.
Because I think that water
City.
is to, well, no, I think it's to the hydrant. I don't think it's to the house.
Oh.
It's to the hydrant in case whatever happens to the
Yeah.
hydrant. So you need the key to that one. So I'm like, well, that's not going to work. And then there was just a simple ball valve that hooks up there right at the house. And I'm like, well, this is my only option right now. So I turn it and it shut it off. And then I came inside to test the water, and sure enough, it shut off the water to the house. Yeah. So then I try to use the quick seal,
Right.
the water duct tape.
Flex Seal.
Yeah, the Flex Seal. That's right. Not the quick seal, the Flex Seal. And that didn't work at all.
Right.
Granted, I didn't have time to give it the proper like
Drying
12
time,
hour
yeah.
cure time.
Yeah.
So I like slow dripped it to see, and water started coming out. So I'm like, that's not gonna
Yeah.
work. And then I tried to cut off the T. I went to Plan B, and then Plan B blew up in my face.
Yeah.
Because it was all rusted out.
Yeah.
So I had a quick think about Plan C, and luckily I was able to get it in. We're good now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So projects, definitely timing
Yeah.
them is always like, oh, I'm gonna be done in like
Yes.
30 minutes, and then 3 hours later. So
Yeah. So let me go explain this to my wife.
or just like so
Yeah.
this is it. Here I am, and at least I finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
the key is to set yourself up for success ahead
Yeah,
of time.
and then I mean, just you.
you can always take last minute orders.
Yes, you can always take more. I mean, it's frowned upon. You can't really cancel orders after you've already taken them. Especially,
Right.
I mean, especially for Christmas. I mean, you're gonna lose customers, or friends and family are gonna be pissed. If you can't. I mean, there was a friend. I mean, although she had ordered late, and I had told her I'm gonna try and get this done, and then just with everything, I think the TikTok thing had happened, and I was also sick and struggling, and I think she ended up getting it actually on Christmas or like the day after, but it was looking real questionable. There was a couple people I had to reach out to, and I'm like, I'm gonna do my best, but I'm struggling here. And they were all very understanding. They thankfully know me, and they know that like I'm doing my best and whatever. But when it's, Jesus, what was that? Some random crackling going on. But when it's not a friend or a family member, a stranger isn't always understanding, because they're under the holiday pressure, and they have this planned amazing gift that they want to give them, and now you're possibly telling them it's not going to happen.
Right.
So yeah, definitely.
Well, then you're making them go
Right.
last minute shopping
Exactly.
when they thought they had it in the bag.
it was already checked off their list.
Right.
So yeah, plan ahead, plan to end early. If you have more time for local last minute orders, then by all means, go for those, or spend extra time with your family. Actually take the time to decorate your house for
Right.
the first time in how many years. We did actually get the lights up. You did
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
decent at getting the
Yeah.
lights up, and
We
the
got
minion.
The minions. Yeah.
The minion inflatables, because Jared loves those.
Yeah. No, we did a lot more this year.
Yeah.
And it's just building on that.
Right, exactly.
So next year we'll decorate the
hopefully-
tree.
Yep, we'll do
So
do better. So yeah, it's just, and I mean, just take advice that as soon as it gets to like October, and even a little bit before, is when you'll start seeing the posts in the Facebook groups of what are you making, when is your cutoff, how are you navigating Christmas. Start thinking about it early. Like I said, some people are thinking about it now, and the fact that I'm not thinking about it now is actually like kind of stressing me out a little bit, because I know time passes real quickly, and
Right.
it's a lot quicker than you think, and then all of a sudden, like now I've wanted to do all these. I wanted to do a bunch of designs for Mother's Day and stuff. Well, that's like, it's not even a month away at this point.
Right.
So, the holidays scream up real quickly. So plan sooner than later of an idea of what you're going to do. What you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And then you'll have a better chance at having a successful season without killing yourself in the process, because it's really not fun because then again, you do too much, you burn yourself out, and then it's hard to get started again.
Right.
And it was what kind of sucked about this year was that that prior year, I remember expecting that lull that happens afterwards, and like, the slower January,
Right.
people are broke and they don't have a lot of money,
Right.
and then Valentine's happens and they kind of start the gradual of spending money again, and that didn't happen the last 2 years. They didn't slow down at all, and so it was like the worst part was there was a lot of people who contacted me during the Christmas season. That was part of the orders that I had in January and February that I just finished recently. They contacted me before Christmas or even during Christmas, and they're like, "I don't need this yet. This can wait until after Christmas."
Okay.
During Christmas, that is like the most magical thing that you can hear. Except that then you get through Christmas,
and you have to keep
and
cranking
now
out.
you have orders
Right.
that they don't care about getting by Christmas, but now you already have work to do. And so
Right.
it sounds great in the moment because you're like, oh, this is something
That can wait.
that can wait, and I don't have to worry about it right now. But then as soon as you finish Christmas, well, now you got to worry about it right now. So it's like giving yourself that break, but then also making sure you stick to the break, or getting back to it after said break, which is something I struggled with this year because I wasn't feeling well. So I took that break, and then it was really hard to get back into it because I just was out of the swing of it so much that when I would try to get back into it, I would get really tired quickly, and I was out of, my mojo, and my flow had kind of, not been oiled recently, so it was hard to get going again, but definitely trying to have some kind of plan, and it'll give you a better chance at having a good season.
So take it from us. Set your set your date. Stick to it.
Stick to them.
And take care of yourself.
Yes.
Take care of yourself.
Your kids and your family. Make sure that you aren't so worried about giving everybody else. You're not so worried about giving your customers a good Christmas that you actually give that to your family and your kids too.
And remember why you're doing this, because you like to.
Yeah.
Don't make this
Exactly.
a chore. Don't make.
Oh my gosh,
Don't
that's
make
so
this hard. You're doing
so
it because
true.
it's what you love to do.
Exactly. And yeah, it can't continue to be something that you love to do, like that first Christmas where, again, the exhaustion would hit me, the frustration would hit me. I was so tired, and I couldn't stop working because I had so much to do. But some days when I would continue to work, I was only making it worse on myself because I would make more mistakes. I would cut something incorrectly, then it would set me back on time. And so, you just have to, you got to listen to yourself. You got to listen to your body. If you're struggling with, focus or exhaustion, take that night off and go to bed early, and then hit it hard the next morning after you've, had a decent night's rest, and then you're not recutting things or redoing things because you missed the typo because it's 3:30 a.m.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it for us.
Oh, next week let's talk about the next few weeks. We got
next few weeks.
Yeah, we got a few things scheduled out. So next week we have Heather again.
Oh, she's making
Heather with Lobo.
Okay.
She did say that she was going to
once a month.
So
That's right.
I'm making her.
We're holding her to
stick
it.
to that, and we had really fun. On the
it was really
episode
fun.
that she did. So, hey, she may be back even sooner than that because she doesn't go anywhere like me.
Right.
So it's not like she's super busy in that she, it's not like she has something else going on Monday nights when we record. Yeah, on record night. So she'll, Heather Lynn will be here next week, and she'll be talking about laser hacks. So she
that'll be fun.
called dibs on that one. So that one will be good. So little things that we've learned along the way that either save you time or make it look more amazing. So yeah, that's next week. And then the following week, I think they're back to back. And then the next week is who I've been calling my acrylic dealer, and that's Amanda. So
Okay.
she'll be on, and we'll be talking about her story and how we met and
how she's grown.
Man, yeah, she just sent me pictures tonight of it was a picture of her, myself, and her her other friend and an employee, Patty, and we were in her shop fulfilling orders. So a little throwback.
Okay.
And the picture was actually around the time that I had just started my Etsy shop.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll cover that a little bit more about our friendship, how we met, how I actually worked for her a little bit,
Right.
and then how that kind of intertwined with me growing and her business and that kind of stuff. So that's the next few weeks that we got.
That's good. That's good. Well, we bring you all the hits. We bring you all the movers and shakers in the industry.
Yeah, of course. And I did want to thank, I was very anxious about only these last few weeks. I think it's been about a week and a half or so since I actually told people about it.
Right.
Besides just my close
I think we were 3
friends.
episodes in.
We were 3 episodes in before I told really anybody about the podcast. And it's done really well. We've received a lot of really great feedback. Just that they've learned a lot. There's a lot of new laser owners who are listening who've gotten a lot of good things from it.
Hope I'm asking all the right questions for y'all.
They really like you.
Okay.
They seem to like what you bring to the table.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
keep it going.
Keep it
babe.
going. All right. I try. I'm just here to try and hope that Heather doesn't take my job. That's all.
She might.
She will. But luckily, she's got a lot with Lobo Designs.
She does.
And everything like that.
She won't want to do it every single week.
I
so
think
you
I
at
have
least
some security.
You do.
And the days that she's here, I'll just sit back and play producer and be like,
and make sure we stay on topic.
Oh, okay.
Keep us a little bit focused.
Right. Keep us on. Yeah. Keep the conversation moving.
But yeah, so we've had some really, really good feedback. They've been entertained. They've laughed. They've enjoyed it. We got our first and only 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
Speaking of which, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts,
and
leave a review.
It?
Yeah, leave a review. Gives us some stars. If you're not subscribe on
whatever,
Apple or Spotify
platform
or whatever. That way it'll show up in your queue when we have a new episode.
Yeah.
And
we hit 200 plays today.
200 plays today.
200 plus plays today.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big deal. Yeah.
So just wanted to say thank you. And hopefully we can keep entertaining you guys.
That's it. Hopefully you take something away from it.
Cool.
All right. We need your signature.
What?
Your signature bye.
Oh, but don't you have to say something? I already forgot how we did this. I don't just randomly say bye. You say, and this has been something.
It doesn't matter. We'll just.
All right.
It's a good ending.
Okay.
It's a good ending.
Bye.